الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على خاتم النبيين وسيد المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما على الإمام المنتظر وحجة الله الثاني عشر ابن العسكري المنتظر ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم القرآن الحكيم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما كان لمؤمن ولا مؤمنة إذا قضى الله ورسوله أمرا أن يكون لهم الخيرة من أمرهم ومن يعص الله ورسوله فقد ضل ضلالا مبينا. صلوات. Could I just ask the volume to be raised a little so that I have to exert a little less effort on my throat, please? The volume of the mic. The day of Arbaeen, and today is the day that the sister of Hussein ibn Ali eventually reaches the grave of Hussein ibn Ali. Irrelevant of whether it was the first year or after 1 year, the fact remains that on Arbaeen, Zainab reaches the qabr of Hussein ibn Ali. However, before I begin, a few formalities that we need to accomplish and get out of the way before we can start our majlis for today. I'd like to thank the Pramukh Sahib for his thanksgiving to me. And on my part, I need to thank the Pramukh Sahib and his team for having given me an opportunity to come down and recite before you. However, I must mention that this was never the plans. I was booked somewhere else. I was not supposed to come to Stanmore. But God wishes something and then we have to comply. Because of the COVID scenario, I had to cancel my booking somewhere else, and here I am before you. So first of all, my appreciation to Pramukh Sahib and the office bearers to have given me the opportunity to be here before you. Then I would like to thank you, Mu'mineen and Mu'minat, for having the patience to bear with me for these 11, 12 nights. It's an arduous journey, 12 nights to recite and to come over here with all the workloads that you've got. So thank you very much. And there is one particular segment that I'd like to call out. In addition to the people who were there with me every night after the majlis, taking time off from the families, we appreciate it, we see it. So those people, just to give me company, would be there, sit with me, to spend some time with me so that I don't feel lonely, share dinner with me when they should be sitting with their families. But I would like to single out one particular segment of the community that needs to be mentioned, and would be failing in my duty if I were not to mention them. And those are the volunteers that work behind the scenes. Now, I don't know what teams you've got. Pramukh Sahib mentioned, rolled out a number of teams. I am not from here, so I don't know the teams. All I know is that all of these individuals get classified as Khadimeen of Hussein ibn Ali. That is all I know. But rest assured, when we say Khadimeen of Imam Hussein al-Islam, it does not just mean those in the car park or those who make chai or those who stand over here to accommodate the people, those in the AV team or those amongst the ladies or XYZ, all these individuals who in some way or the other are working to make sure that this program is coming to fruition. But it also means people like you who come over here and sit down and take time off. Because for every one person that is sitting over here, on a very rough estimate, there are 5 others who are not over here. For every one person who's watching the telecast from home, there are at least 5 others who are not interested. There is a reason that you are over here and they are listening to the majlis at home, whereas these other 5s are not over here. It's simple as that. It's something that is called being chosen. You cannot come in the bargah of the Ahlul Bayt if they don't give you permission. Understand this. This is how their system works. One day, Shaitan comes to somebody and says, "Oh, you've been praying for such a long time. Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi." Has he ever answered you? Out of 10, 1 of your hajat is answered. 9 are not is answered. What is the use of saying it? He gets taken away, carried away. He stops praying to God. Faido nati. I keep asking God, He doesn't respond to me. I keep asking God, He doesn't come back to me. I don't hear any labbaik from Him. There's no point speaking out to Him. He goes to sleep at night, he hears somebody saying, "Why have you stopped calling us?" Saying, "Because I'm not getting any answer." He said, "The very fact that you say, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi, is what we have got you to come to me. If we didn't want you to say Ya Rabbi, that would not come out of your mouths. The fact that you're able to say Ya Rabbi means I've said Labbaik, I'm listening to you, talk to me." And the same thing goes with the Ahlul Bayt. You may have an absolute filth rich of money, but if they don't call you, you will not land up there. And there will be people who will be having no hopes of going over there. In an instant you'll find that they are on the way to Karbala. This is the bargah of that king of martyrs, that Shaheed Salat, that Shaheed al-Shuhada, which is called Hussein ibn Ali. Labbaik ya Hussein. Labbaik ya Hussein. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So understand your qadr, understand your rank, that if being asked to come over here, you cannot come on your own. There is no way, it doesn't work in the realms of God. So all those individuals who are over here, all those individuals, the volunteers in every department, everybody, anybody, in any way, who has contributed to help out in this institution of Hussein ibn Ali. This Hussein is not a man, it is an institution. Whoever has done it, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. بحق محمد وأنت المحمود بحق علي وأنت الأعلى بحق فاطمة وأنت فاطر السماوات والأرض وبحق الحسن وأنت المحسن وبحق الحسين وأنت قديم الإحسان وبحق التسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين عليه السلام. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the sake of Hussein ibn Ali and his Arbaeen, every single individual who has contributed to making this majalis of Hussein ibn Ali a success, Allah accept all their amal and khadamat. Allah, you are an infinite entity with infinite powers, with khaza'in al-samawati wal-ard. You've got the treasures of the heavens and the earths. Allah, compensate the smallest of the efforts in the greatest possible means that you only can give them. Allah, by the sake of this holy Ahlul Bayt, reserve these rewards for us and grant them to us on the day of judgment, that will leave us astounded and dumbfounded as to the rewards that go with the majalis of Hussein ibn Ali. Allah, we pray to you that all the people who are over here, all the people who are listening, all the people who have contributed, keep them and their families in this world and the hereafter safe and under your infinite protection. Allah, grant them an increase in their rizq. Allah, if there are any problems in themselves, in their families, medical, social, domestic, financial, any problems whatsoever within themselves, within their families, within the children, by Haqqi Fatima Zahra, the mother of Hussein ibn Ali, ward all of these away from the followers of Ahlul Bayt. Allah, by the sake of the Ahlul Bayt, this is about the dunya, but what is more important is the akhirat. Allah, by the sake of Fatima Zahra, when we die, let us die with Iman. Allah, when we die, let us die by calling out Ali and Hussein while we are going. Allah, very important for us is not just ourselves. Hazrat Ibrahim taught us whenever we are graced with something, we need to get our children involved into it. We pray to you by the sake of the holy Ahlul Bayt. We pray to you for the children of Hussein killed on the plains of Karbala. Keep the iman of our children safe and sound. All of our children from now up to the day of judgment, the lineage that follows, Allah, grace them with the love of the Ahlul Bayt in their hearts. Allah, never, 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 by the sake of Fatima Zahra, let them deviate from the path of Ali and Ali Ali. Allah, by the sake of the Holy Prophet, grant us ease and comfort in our lives in the barzakh and hereafter. By the sake of Fatima Zahra on the day of judgment in the akhirat, grace us with their shafa'at and your infinite mercy. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم غفر الله لنا ولكم والحمد لله رب العالمين صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. I'm starting at 2:24. This was not a majlis, it starts now. So my time starts at 2:24. You see, when I said that we've been chosen to be brought over here, and without the permission of the Ahlul Bayt, we would never have been over here. But in addition to this, I would like to also tell you that all the people, whether they are over here, they're watching in their homes or on the internet or whatever, don't think you are unfamiliar to the Ahlul Bayt. Don't think that we are not known to them. Each one of us are known to them by our names and our family names and the names of our fathers. It's not that they don't know who we are. They know exactly who we are. Exactly our names, whose sons we are, whose grandsons we are, our entire nasab. There's a tradition in Al-Kafi, and listen to this tradition so that you know, what we're talking about. Amir al-Mu'minin is sitting with his companions. There's one person, people are sitting, and as the Imam is discussing issues with them, a person comes to him and says, Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, Inni uhibbuk. I love you intensely. I really love you. I'm your muhib, I'm your follower, I'm your Shia, I love you. Imam looks at him, no response. Says, Imam, I truly love you. Your love is imbibed, is filling my heart. It's filled my heart. Imam looks at him and says, you are lying. You don't have my love in your heart. Now all the ashab is there. This individual is not stunned. He says, Wallahi ya Amir al-Mu'minin, inni hubbuk. I swear upon Allah that I love you. Imam said second time, you're lying. You have no love in your heart for me. When he insisted the third time, no Amir al-Mu'minin, I'm telling you the truth. Up to now, Imam was holding back what he wanted to say. Just wanted to finish it off superficially so that he doesn't have to go in depth. But when the individual insisted to say, I love you, Amir al-Mu'minin, truly your love is into my heart. Imam says, listen my friend, what are you talking to me? When I tell you, I know you don't have my love in your heart, it is with a reason. And the reason is this, that even before the creation of humans on this earth, but it was only Adam who was created. At that point of time, Allah took out all the children of Adam from his loins from that time up to the day of judgment. And all those individuals were presented before me. They were spread out into two groups. One group was the one who possessed the Ahlul Bayt and the love of Ahlul Bayt and my love in their hearts. That group, which consisted of one of those individuals who loved me, were placed on one side. Those individuals who did not possess our love were placed on the other side. Allah told us, Ali and Ali, these are the individuals who will love you when they come into this world. My friend, when I looked over there, I did not see you over there. I did not see you over there. You were not in that group that God presented before us who possessed our love. What are you talking? Rawat say that God gets up, silence, and he walked away. They know us. They know what we have in our hearts for them. But over here at this point of time, there is one thing that is a conclusion to my topic, and which you must take it with you. And that is that understand, we've got numerous traditions of this one that I'm going to tell you. And you need to take hold of this very carefully. This is my parting message tonight. Today is the last majlis. One message came yesterday. How to protect ourselves and our children. One, from the deviation and the turmoil of the ideologies that barrages in this world in the current times. One, and how it would protect us at the time when Imam-e-Zamana comes, when we will have pseudo-imams. Not only for tonight or this current times with that solution hold, but even when Imam-e-Zamana comes and when we are confused whether he is the true Imam or somebody else is the true Imam, that solution will hold. And that is to seek from somebody who is most learned in authority. As taught to us by Hazrat Zainab, the Marajia. That is gone, the solution is given. One another solution I'm giving you today, and then Khuda Hafiz. We may meet, we may not meet. But I'll tell you one thing. On the Mimbar of Rasul, on the day of Arbaeen, whatever I'm telling you is exactly the same thing I tell my children. Exactly the same thing I tell my children. So rest assured, there is nothing filtered. There is nothing that I tell you something which is different. What I tell my children is I'm telling you. We have this tradition of the Masumin which tell us, and in numerous places, Basarud Darajat, Biharul Anwar, Usulul Kafi, even in Nahjul Balagha. Different wordings, but mafhum is the same, the meaning is the same. What? Inna amrana sa'abun mustas'ab. Says, understand this, you people. And this is Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahjul Balagha saying, and you have this from various Imams. It says, understand our maqam, our wilayat, amrun, it is a state, it is a wilayat of ours, sa'abun mustas'ab. It's not something that can be easily understood by all. It is very difficult for some people to understand. Then he says there are only three categories of people who will listen to our ahadith that talk about our ranks and accept it. One, La yahtimilu alayha. They will not be taking this except three individuals. One category, one group who will accept these traditions of the loftiness of our ranks. Illa malakum muqarrab. An angel who's close to God. Or Nabiyyum Mursal. Or a Nabi who's been sent by God. These are two categories when they are told about our ranks, about our status, about our maqam, about our powers, about our authority, about our wilayat mutlaqa under God. These are the two categories who will accept it wholeheartedly. And then he says, amongst the mu'minin, abdun imtahanallahu qalbahu bil iman. God who has tested the iman of individuals in their hearts and has imbibed our ma'rifat in their hearts, they will be the one who will accept our traditions. You've heard this particular tradition that I've mentioned. That Ali is saying, you guys were presented before us even before you came into the wombs of your mothers. And I know who loves me and who don't. I didn't see you there. You could not be having your love in my heart. You heard numerous other traditions where we talked about the ijaz, the karamat, the qudrat of the vilayat of these Ahlul Bayt. This tradition which says understanding and digesting this is a very difficult thing. A Nabiya Mursal will be able to understand. A Malak Muqarrab, a close angel of God. And those mu'mineen whose hearts Allah has tested with iman. Then this tradition goes on to say, says there will be certain traditions that as soon as you hear them, it will hit to your heart. You will be able to digest it. You will accept it. Take it. But there will be times that you will hear certain fadail of ours. And you've seen so many that we've mentioned. That Ayatullah al-Udma, Wahid al-Khurasani talks about how Israel is subservient to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. We heard the ijaz of how Imam Sajjad and Imam Bakr exchanged faces. It says, the Amir al-Mu'mineen is saying there will be time that you will hear about our authority, about our powers, about our rank, about what we can do, and it will not digest. You will not be able to digest. You will not be able to digest it. At that time, Imam gives us a rule. Those things that you can understand are able to digest, take it. Those things that you're not able to digest, just pass by it. But he says one thing. He says one thing. If you don't understand certain fadail, this is the tradition. Inna amrana sa'abun mustas'ab la yahtamiluha illa malakun muqarrab aw nabiyyun mursal aw abdin imtahana Allahu qalbahu bil iman. Says, but if you find that you see a tradition, that it doesn't hit you, you can't fathom it, you can't understand it, you can't digest it, Imam says, just pass by it. Just pass by it. Let it go. But then he says, remember one thing, that when you hear these traditions, stay away from one thing. Do not outright deny it. Do not outright deny it till you make appropriate investigations. Because it is possible that what you are denying has a reality to it, which you've not investigated. And then you reject our powers with detrimental consequences waiting for you afterwards. So if something you cannot digest, Imam says, don't deny it, just pass by. This is something that I don't understand. It happens to all of us. You've gone to school, I've gone to school. You've gone to universities, I've gone to universities. There have been cases in maths and physics and chemistry where it just doesn't come into the minds. It goes over our heads. What do? You say, okay, we don't understand. This is 5 marks in the exam. This is 2 marks in the exam. We let it go. We will compensate with other things. Imam said, this is what you need to do. Traverse and navigate through these ahadith that you don't understand. Because possibly your heart has not been reached to that level for you to digest this. As a result of it, don't deny it. Yes, the solution that we said yesterday comes to the fore. Take this hadith, present it to the marja. If he says no, don't accept it. If he says yes, then you have no option except to accept it. But without any investigation, ato thokam thok che, don't do it. Ato Maulana potana jeb thi kade che, don't do it. This is what Imam has told us. This is what the Masoom has told us. Everybody does not have the ability to understand our essence and core. Just as Abu Dhar was not able to understand the entire Ma'rifat of Salman. Where Abu Dhar and where Salman? Can you stake a claim that when Imam Zamana comes and you and I have died, we will be brought back to life in Raj'at to take part in the universal revolution that Imam will enact into this world? We cannot say, but we got tradition. Salman will be brought back to life, Abu Dhar will be brought back to life. Between those individuals with that level of Iman, if there is still a gap between the understanding of Salman and Abu Dhar, that Amirul Mu'mineen tells Salman, Salman, what I have told you, don't tell Abu Dhar, otherwise he will think you are blurting out kufr and he will kill you, then where do you and I stand? There will be times that you and I will not be able to understand the ahadith of the Ma'sumin. We are supposed to just navigate by and let it be. Leave the affairs to God. We are not concerned. But you deny it, you don't accept it, and you just pass by, not a problem. But if you deny it and it turns out to be right, then you're going to ask, and I'm going to be answered on the day of judgment when Fatima comes and stands before us and says, you heard this about Hussein, but you rejected it. Now you're asking my shafa'at. So the important solution over here, don't deny it. I'm not saying accept it. There's a difference between I'm asking you to accept it and I'm requesting you to not deny it. Not accepting is something that you say, okay, I don't understand. Let it remain in the books of hadith. One is you start picking up the phone and sending WhatsApp. What nonsense this hadith is. Mine doesn't accept it. This is absolutely fantastic in today's world. There are a lot of things in today's world that you don't understand. But you don't throw that out of the window. Say, all right, I don't understand. Now, having understood this, and we brought traditions from numerous ulama, and we mentioned them. Somebody like Sheikh Saduq, who's been born out of the dua of Imam Zaman, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Telling Ali ibn Baba, Saturzagu minha waladaini faqihain. You're going to get from this slave girl 2 sons. Both of them are going to be faqih. One of them Sheikh Saduq. Incidentally, I was in this bookshop over here that you've got, the Hujjat bookshop. And as soon as you enter on the shelf, you get one of this book of Sheikh Saduq. Kamaluddin wa Tamamun Ni'mah. Nafis book. What a book it is. There it is over there in your bookshop. I don't know how many of you all know. Kamaluddin wa Tamamun Ni'mah, one of the Nafis books of this man who was born out of the dua of Imam Zamana. It's lying in your bookshop. Probably many don't even know that it is there. But having said that, we need to move forward, and today we will focus on one aspect of Imam Hussain al-Islam, Arbaeen, and then Masab, and then Khuda Hafiz to you. You see, Right from the time you've heard that after the incident of Karbala, Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Ahsant. Right from the time the Imam's Shahadat took place, and the holy head was moved from Karbala to Kufa and Kufa to Sham, Imam on numerous occasions showed the ijaz, and you know that Imam would recite verses of the Quran. So at time he would recite those verses number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of Surah Kahf. أَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّ أَصْحَابَ الْقَهْفِ كَانُوا مِنْ آيَاتِنَا عَجَبًا. Surah Kahf. At times you see him reciting إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلِ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. At times you see him reciting that ayah of Surah Shu'ara, the ayah number 227, where we usually recite after the end of the Masa'ib. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. And those who have done dhulm will see the outcome of their dhulm when they come before God on the day of judgment. On numerous occasions, these very ayats he would keep reciting, trying to hint to the people, look what you've done. Look what you've done. But right now the discussion today is not on the head, on the holy head of Imam Hussain. The head was talking. But there was one thing that Imam, when he was alive, repeatedly mentioned. So here you have the head repeatedly reciting the tilawat of the Quran. On the occasion before the shahadat, you've got Imam Hussain alayhi salam himself reciting certain things. And one thing that repeatedly Imam Hussain would mention, repeatedly he would mention, and this is not narrated by me and pulled out by me, from the fourth Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. One thing repeatedly during his journey towards Karbala, that Imam Hussain alayhi salam repeatedly would mention, would be the name of Nabi Yahya ibn Zakaria. Yahya, the son of Zakaria. Repeatedly. To such an extent that the fourth Imam, he's narrating this in Maqtalul Hussain of Khwarizmi. He's saying, وَمَا نَزَلَ مَنْزِلًا وَلَا إِرْتَحَلَ مِنْهَا إِلَّا وَقَدْ ذَكَرَ Yahya ibn Zakaria. It says in this entire journey we would not stop at certain place and lay our tents, nor we would move out after having stayed at a certain place, illa dhakara Yahya ibn Zakaria. Except that Imam Hussain, my father, would talk about Yahya Zakaria. And he would always mention one sentence. This tradition, the fourth Imam is saying, it says, Inna min hawani dunya an uhdiya rasu Yahya ibn Zakaria ila baghiyyin min baghaya Bani Israel. It says, this is the pasti of the dunya. This is the baseness of this dunya. That the head of Yahya ibn Zakaria, the Nabi, is severed and taken on a platter and presented as a gift to the tyrant of the time. This is this dunya. During the time of Hadrat Yahya, very quickly we finish off not very extended majlis. So during the time of Bani Israel, during the time of Hadrat Yahya, there was a tyrant. Yahya becomes a Nabi, son of Zakaria. Again, that's a very beautiful discussion on how he gets Yahya and how the prayers take place and what happens and why he wanted Zakaria. Ajabbana, this is, see that? No time to say. No time to say. But it all ends up. Again, don't get carried away by people who, as soon as they hear little fadail of the Ahl Bayt, say, this is ghuluf. This is extravagance. This is you're taking him. We've always said ghuluf means raising the Ahl Bayt to the level of God. That is ghuluf. That is the actual definition of ghuluf in ilmul kalam by the maraji, by the mutakallimin. That is meaning you take Imam to the level of God. We have never said that. We've always said God is God, Khaliq. These are makhluk of God, creation. We've always said that. So any attribute that we level to them will never be ghuluf because we're not taking them to the level of divinity. Correct? From the very first lecture, we've said this. Second lecture, we've said this. And this is our stance. And this is how we should go into the qabr with this belief of ours. This individual, how Zakaria actually got Yahya. It is, sometimes, we find 12 days, and I was thinking 12 days is going to be so much. There's so many things that are still left out. But anyway, Yahya ibn Zakaria becomes a Nabi. He's now preaching. There's one tyrant in his time that always happens. Mithli la yubayi'u mithli Yazid. There's always somebody of the lineage of Hussein ibn Ali in the character of Hussein, and there'll always be somebody of the character of Yazid. Oh, but there was a tyrant during the time of Yahya ibn Zakaria, and I don't want to go into detail. Very short. I'm just using certain words so that you will understand. He wanted to enter into an illicit relationship with a woman. He wanted to enter into an illicit relationship with a woman. Now we've got two different versions, 2 or 3. Eventually the culmination is it is an illicit relationship, illegitimate relationship. Nabi Yahya comes to know. When he comes to know, he opposes. He says, I cannot allow this to happen. Now always you will see when somebody wants, the rulers want legitimacy, they will always try to get a religious legitimacy. Same thing happened with Ibn Ziyad. Ibn Ziyad did not send a force directly to Karbala to kill Hussein ibn Ali. First what he did, he bought over the religious scholars of Kufa, paid them money, either by money or by sword. Then he got legitimacy. They wrote a fatwa. According to us, Hussein has gone astray and now killing him has become wajib. That scroll he presented to Kufa that this is what it is. Now I'm sending my army to kill Hussein when he's on his way to Kufa. Always illegitimate rulers will seek legitimacy by means of religion. The same person said, I want to get married. Yahya says, over my dead body, this is not acceptable. This woman can never be a mahram to you by means of nikah. It's not possible. This news reaches that lady. This news reaches the lady. Now the king was enamored, completely captivated. She said, look, I cannot marry you. Says, why? Says, you see what Yahya says. But I really want to marry you. The lady saying. Says, let's do it. But say, what about Yahya? Say, we'll deal with him after. Says, no, not after. It's now. If you want me, then you prove me that you love me. Says, what do you want? Says, I want the head of Yahya. He says, done, I'll give you. Gives the orders, Yahya is killed. And the head is brought before him. This is what Hussein ibn Ali on his way to Karbala is saying. Inna min hawani dunya an uhdiya rasal Yahya ibn Zakaria ila baghiyyin min baghaya Bani Israel. This is the pasti of dunya, that for the sake of a woman, a Nabi of the caliber of Yahya is killed and presented as a gift to the tyrant. While he's mentioning there is a similarity between him and Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And this is what I want to read out to you very quickly. That repeatedly when the fourth Imam says, every place we would pitch tent, he would talk about Yahya. Every time he would pass away from a tent, from a place after having camped over there, he would talk about Yahya. Telling the people, just as Yahya was killed, I will be killed. Just as Yahya, whatever happened with Yahya will happen with me. And we've got tradition from the Masumin that there's a lot of similarity between Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Nabi Yahya. To such an extent that we've got a tradition. We've got a tradition of Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari when he's doing ziyarat of Imam Hussein, where he says, Ashhadu annaka madayta ala ma mada alayhi akhuka Yahya ibn Zakaria. I bear witness that you, O Imam Hussein, passed and went through the same travails and pitfalls and problems that your brother Yahya ibn Zakaria went through. So I want to list out few of the things to understand that why did Imam Hussein alayhi salam regularly mention Hazrat Yahya during his way coming to Karbala? Now I've got a few things in my mind, but nowadays I'm tend to forget things, so I've just made a note of it so that we don't forget and miss out certain things. One of the first things of similarity between Yahya and between Imam Hussein and Zakaria is that both of them were given names that previously they did not have. Look at the similarity between them. And then you will see why Imam Hussein repeatedly mentions Yahya. One of the first things is that no one before Yahya had that name Yahya. Quran says this. Surah Maryam, if I'm not mistaken, ayah number 7. When he says, وَلَمْ نَجْعَلْ لَهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ سَمِيًّا. We've never named anybody before Yahya as Yahya. Yahya was the first time somebody was named by that name. And that same thing goes for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The name Hussein was never given previously to anybody else. That is point number 1. Point number 2, similarity number 2. Both Imam Hussein and Hazrat Yahya, both their heads were severed from the body. Imam Hussein by Shimr, Yahya ibn Zakaria by the tyrant. Similarity number 2. Similarity number 3, we're just moving towards Masahib now. Similarity number 3. Both the heads were placed on a gold tray and presented as gifts to the tyrant of the time. When this went to Yazid, you just heard the Masahib, the Marthiyah. When it was taken to Yazid, it was presented on a golden tray. When the head of Yahya ibn Zakaria was presented to the tyrant of the time, it was put on a golden tray and presented to him. Number 4, both the heads after being severed was suspended for the sake of ignominy. The head of Yahya was suspended so that the people should see what the tyrant had done. And similarly so for Husayn ibn Ali. That standing up, that being raised atop the lance means what? Being tied to the neck of a horse means what? Do you realize the ignominy that was intended to be meted out to this head? The same thing happened. Rawat say after the killing of both of them, events took place in the cosmos, in the natural elements that were very different from normal scenario. And for both of them, the Rawat say that after the death of Yahya ibn Zakaria and after the death of Husayn ibn Ali, the eyes became red. The skies became red. The entire skies turned red. And we've got this tradition. Ihmar as-sama. After the killing of Yahya and after the killing of Husayn ibn Ali. You see, when we talk about these skies crying, these crying have a meaning for everything. Crying for us means shedding tears, water from our eyes. The same crying for Imam Zamana means shedding tears of blood. That is also tears. For us it's water, for him it's blood. Crying of the skies means they show a color, they show a change that in normal circumstances they don't show. And the riwayat say, وَحُمْرَتُهَا بُكَاهُهَا. The turning of the red of the skies was actually the crying of the skies to show we are also feeling the pinch of the killing of the Hujjat of God. You heard the other day when we were talking about the majlis, in the lecture, that one of the reasons, one of the things that a Ma'soom, an Imam Ma'soom has mentioned what happens when the Hujjat of God is killed, that on that day when you pick up a stone you will find blood underneath. The Taqween reacts when the Hujjat of God is killed. You can't stop it. The world of existence reacts because they are the fulcrum. Anna mahalli minha mahall al-qutb min ar-raha. I'm the fulcrum of this universe. You take me out, the world will shake. Riwayat tell us and comparison tell us, both the killers of both these individuals were people of illegitimate birth. Illegitimate, both of them. The person who killed Yahya ibn Zakaria and the person who killed Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And then we've got one more point. That is for the Akhirat. It says, Rawat tell us that in Jahannam God has reserved a special place. The likes of it cannot be compared. You heard about Saqar, the first majlis that we talked about. You heard about all those 7 people. You heard about. Rawat tell us in Jahannam there's a special place which has been reserved for only 2 people. One, the killer of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and the other is the killer of Yahya ibn Zakaria. What it means in terms of impact, of outcome, in terms of adhab, I don't know. Nor do I wish to know right now. But I do know that this is what is the madlumiyat of Imam Hussein. As he is going, he keeps remembering his brother Yahya ibn Zakaria. He was killed, I'm going to be killed. He was beheaded, I'm going to be beheaded. He is going to be presented to a tyrant of his time. My head is going to be presented to the tyrant of his time. One tradition also says the comparison. After the death of Yahya, his head spoke. When the head is lying in front of the king, he says, Ittaqullah. Fear God and don't enter into this matrimonial alliance. This is illegitimate. The cut head of Yahya talks. The cut head of Imam Hussein has been speaking. And we've mentioned numerous instances when the head showed the mu'jiza. That over here I would like to say one sentence. Where the killing of Yahya ibn Zakaria, where the killing of Husayn ibn Ali. In kuja wa unko ja. You want to understand why? One sentence. Where Fatima to Zahra, where the mother of Yahya, where the sister of Hussein, Zainabiyya Kubra, where the sister, there was no sister, if there was also. You can't compare in koja wa un koja. This changed the entire concept of the sunnah of God. And tonight is the time when the sister of Hussein is going to that place where that massacre of the universe take place unparalleled. Last night you heard the question, the answer, the farman came that you're free to go. Zainab says not Medina, because she knows Medina is not the place to live anymore. You heard that Nawhaya of Kulsum when she was returning to Medina. Ya Medina tajaddina la taqbalina. Oh, the Medina of our holy prophet, you are no longer the same place that we want to live. At that time Hussein was there, Abbas was there, Ali Akbar was there, Saki and Asghar was there. Now we don't have anybody. Medina, what we will do with you? But this is not Medina. This is not going to Karbala. Hussein's sister is now going. She knows that now she's going to meet her brother Hussein. But there is always this one dagdaga in her heart. देखिए कुछ जुमले उर्दू के आप सुन लीजिए फिर वापस इंग्लिश में आएंगे. वो दिल चाहता है कि जो है उर्दू में कुछ बयान किया जाए. बस 2-3 मिनट के लिए. Then we'll come back to English. हुसैन की बहन जब निकल रही है ना, तो एक हिसाब से जो है वो भाई की मिलने की खुशी है. यानी खुशी क्या, खुशी इस बात की कि भाई के कब्र पर जाकर जो है वो गम मनाया जाए. अरे भाई की कब्र पर जाकर सीने को पीटा जाए, हाय हुसैन, जिस तरह फातिमा जहरा कहती है हाय मेरा लाल हुसैन. नाउ ज़ैनब विल हैव अ चांस कि हुसैन की कब्र पर जाकर अपनी मां जिस तरह रोती है कह सके हाय मेरा भाई हुसैन, हाय मेरा माजाया हुसैन. Bear with me for 2 minutes and we come back to English. I can't go Arbaeen without reciting Urdu. It doesn't work. लेकिन यहां एक दगदगा है ज़ैनब के दिल में कि भाई की कब्र पर जा तो रही हूं, लेकिन एक परेशानी है, एक बड़ी परेशानी है. जाना तो है लेकिन हिचकिचाहट हो रही है. किस तरह मैं ज़ैनब किस तरह हुसैन की कब्र पर जाए. ऐ शहजादी, दगदगा क्या है, परेशानी क्या है? अरे कहेंगे नादान, तुझे पता नहीं, अगर मैं हुसैन की कब्र पर गई और कभी मेरा भाई मुड़ के पूछ लिया अरे मेरी अमानत सकीना कहां है, तो ज़ैनब जवाब क्या देगी? अरे जाते वक्त मैं दे गया था, ए सकीना, ए ज़ैनब, मेरी 2 अमानतें हैं. एक इमामत की अमानत है सज्जाद, एक मेरी बेटी सकीना. सकीना का ख्याल रखना. अरे अरबईन में अगर पूछ लिया ए बहना मेरी बेटी कहां है, अरे ज़ैनब क्या जवाब दे? अरे हुसैन, तेरी बेटी को मैं जिंदान में अकेले छोड़ आई. How is Zainab going to answer? I don't know. And this is what was that problem in his heart, the turmoil. What will I answer Hussein if he asks me about Sakina? I'm leaving Sakina in Zindan and now coming to him. The entourage goes. How it happens? You see, the first Zair, according to the Ma'ruf traditions, ulama recite, the first Zair of Hussein ibn Ali was that Sahabi Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari. It so happened that he's at the grave of Hussein ibn Ali. You know Jabir, yeah? Jabir he's become blind. Now Riwayat say he had his servant, he does not have his servant, that's irrelevant. We are concerned with Jabir. Jabir comes to the grave, he's now weeping. He's weeping. He's already reached Karbala. He's now onto the grave of Hussein ibn Ali. Zainab is on her way to come to Karbala. Now just picture this. Jabir is in Karbala. Zainab is on the way to Karbala. It so happens that they almost become concurrently at the same time. Jabir is weeping and weeping. All of a sudden his eyes closed. Understand that wilayat takwiniya of the Imams are. Eyes closed, he sees Imam Hussein in his dreams. Hair disheveled, tears flowing down his eyes.
He says, Jabir, thank you for coming, for being my first Zair. But may I request you, Jabir, go away from my grave and go away so far that neither you can hear something over here, nor can you hear something from here. Jabir is stunned. He folds his head and tells Imam Hussain, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, have I done something wrong that you want me to go away from your grave? He says, no, just now that you're crying, I'm seeing Zainab is arrived on the periphery of Karbala. I don't want you here when Zainab is coming, because I know what is going to happen when she comes here. Jabir, go away. Jabir, go away. Jabir goes. Zainab comes into Karbala. Wow, Husaina. Understand this. Hussein is hearing our talks and our weeping. You don't need to be in Karbala. Wow, Husaina. Riwayat says Zainab comes. They are on the caravans, they are on their mounts. Riwayat tell us the same thing that happened on the 11th of Muharram, it's happening over here. On the 11th of Muharram, as they were made to pass through the dead bodies of the Shuhada, each of the individuals will fall upon the Shuhada. Same thing happens over here. As they went on, they didn't wait to dismount, they just hurled themselves from the camel onto the graves. Layla on Ali Akbar's grave. Farwa on Qasim's grave. Rabab on Asgar's grave. But there was nobody to fall on the grave of Awna Muhammad, because Zainab had fallen on the grave of Hussein ibn Ali. My Hussein comes before my Awna Muhammad. My Hussein comes before Awna Muhammad. She comes to the grave and that Ahu Buka begins. The Matam begins. The Nauha begins. The Nudba begins. They waited for 1 year to come to the grave of Hussein ibn Ali. 3 days. 3 days they were doing Matam. 3 days they were in Karbala. On the third day, Zainab and Imam Sajjad confer amongst themselves. Says, Pupi Amma, I think we should leave. Zainab says, yes, we need to leave. We need to go back because Medina needs to know what has happened in Karbala. Let's go. All the ladies are made to sit on the camels very quickly. The tents were made. 3 days. 3 days they were in Karbala. Tents were made. Within the tents, the mounts are made ready. The ladies are made to sit down. The graves are far away little. Janab Zainab realizes one person is missing. One person is missing. Who? Sakina's mother Rabab. Asgar's mother Rabab. Now Rabab had 2 children. Rabab had 2 children, one boy, one girl. Boy was Ali Asgar. The daughter was Sakina. Says, where is Rabab? Sajjad, go and bring your mother. Sajjad goes, what does he see? He sees Rabab clasping and clinging to the grave of Hussein ibn Ali. Oh my Imam, oh my Aka. He says, Pupi Amma, Auntie, my mom is over there, what do you suggest? He says, wait, I will go and bring her. I can understand what she's going through. Zainab goes to Rabab and says, Rabab, we need to go. Rabab looks up, tears in her eyes. She says, Shahzadi, where do you want me to go? She says, Zainab says, Rabab, we need to go to Medina. Bhabi, we need to go to Medina. You know, she asks one question that breaks Zainab's heart. She utters one sentence that breaks Zainab's heart. You know what she says? She says, Shahzadi, you want to go to Medina? She says, Shahzadi, when you go to Medina, you've got your husband Abdullah ibn Jafar waiting for you. When Layla goes, she's got Sughra waiting for her. She's got Kubra waiting for her. Brother Muhammad Hanafiya is over there. But Shahzadi, tell me, for what should I go to Medina? My husband is buried over here. Next to him is my son Ali Asghar buried. My daughter is lying in Zindan-e-Sham. What will I do in Medina? Shahzadi, let me stay over here. What will I do in Medina? Shahzazi's Bibi Zainab says, Bhabi, you have to come. We have to tell the people in Medina. Rabab now gets up, Zainab has said. But when she goes, she makes two promises. She turns to the qabr of Hussein and says, Oh my king, oh my master, I would have lived my entire life over here, but I've been asked to go. I can't turn down Zainab. But I promise you two things, oh my Aka. The Mazlumiyat that you are here under the hot sun. You're lying under here under the hot sun. I promise you, Rabab, that Rabab will never see the shade in daytime. You are not seeing the shade, your qabr. Zainab in the daytime will never enter into a shade. And you died thirsty. At the last moment, even when the dagger of Shimra was moving, you were asking him, give me 2 drops of water. My body is tearing apart because of the thirst. You died that way, Zainab. Rabab will never drink cold water. You remember what Hussein said? When you drink cold water, remember me. Rabab is saying Rabab will never drink cold water. 2 promises she made, she goes. They go to Karbala. We're finished. Just another 2 minutes. They go to Karbala. They go to Medina. 1 year in Medina. They are over there. Rabab never comes in the shade during the daytime. She's always in the courtyard. Always under the hot sun. 1 year of the Arabian Peninsula. Medina, this is hot sun. 50 degrees. Throughout the 1 year afterwards approximately. Based on a narration. Rabab never comes inside. Rabab never for 1 year till she was alive drank cold water. It took a toll upon her. A time comes. A day comes. When Zainab is watching and she is seeing signs that now Rabab might not survive. But you remember one thing, last night when we spoke, one of the things that Zainab made a condition was that we will go from Zindan-e-Sham with one condition. We want all the tabarrukat. We want all those things. And you heard what all came, yeah? The alam came. The burnt wood of Asghar came. The earrings of Sakina came, the chadar came, the fulan came. Amongst these tabarukat and everything came. When Rabab moves to Medina, Rabab says she always has a package with her. 1 pack. Something wrapped in cloth. But the amazing thing was she would never share it with anybody. She would never share it. It was always be with her. Even Sajjad, she did not share it. And out of respect for the mother, Imam Sajjad did not use his imamat to ask. It's your prerogative, Ma. You don't want to show it to me, don't show me. Zainab now is watching Rabab in the courtyard during the daytime. Almost a year has passed. She sees signs that she does not like. She goes to Imam Sajjad and says, Sajjad, now you need to use your imamat to get your mother into the house. The signs are not good. He goes and says, Amma, you need to come inside. At that point of Rabab is not in a quandary because a living Imam is asking her to come inside. But she has promised Hussein, I will not go in a shade. She turns her hands to the skies. Oh Allah, help me out. I had promised one Imam, I will never enter into a shade. A living Imam is telling me to enter into the shade. What do I do? Do I follow the promise that I gave to Hussein? Or do I do the orders of Sajjad? Take me out of this quandary. Rawat says, eyes turn. Ruh goes out of the body. Rabab falls down. When Rabab falls down, she has that small little bag. It falls down. Sajjad picks it up. Now that he opens up, what does he see? In that packet that Rabab was carrying for 1 year, little earrings of Sakina. Burnt wood of the cradle of Asghar. Are Sajjad turns to Karbala. Oh Baba, my mother has gone. The grief of Sakina, the sadness of Asghar. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Wa musibata, wa Husaina, wa Fatima, wa Madluma.
وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون ألا ولعنة الله على القوم الظالمين.